Hi everyone, my name is Mika Perino and my underrepresented scientist is Rita Levi-Montalcini. So Rita came from a very talented and bright family. Her and her twin sister were born on April 22nd, 1909. Her dad was an electrical engineer and a gifted mathematician, and her mom was a very talented painter. Her older brother was a well-known Italian architect and a professor at the University of Turin. And her twin sister went on to become a very famous painter in Italy and ended up painting all the way into her 90s. Also, her older sister Anna was a very big admirer of Swedish writer Samuel Lagerlöf, and it actually inspired Rita to become a writer before she decided to change her mind and pursue science, but did end up writing some stuff later in her career. Her family values were very, very important to her, and she grew up in a loving household where both parents were cultured and instilled high appreciation of school, knowledge, and other cultures. Her family was a very proud Jewish family, which was hard to find during this time period due to the amount of anti-Semitism that was going on due to the war and everything that was happening. She did come from a very old school family where her dad was the head of the family and made all the big decisions, and as many fathers during this time were very controlling, he was not, and he gave his daughters a lot of love and respect, but did believe that a professional career would interfere with the duties of a wife and a mother. So he tried to push them in that direction. However, when Rita turned 20, she realized that that life was not for her and asked her dad for permission to start school, which he ended up granting. In 8 short months, Rita caught up in all the areas she fell behind in, including Latin, Greek, and mathematics, graduated high school, and then enrolled in medical school. While attending medical school, she was mentored by Italian histologist Giuseppe Levi, who ended up training her and one of her classmates in biological science. She graduated medical school with a summa cum laude degree in medicine and surgery. After this, she enrolled in a 3-year specialization in neurology and psychiatry. And after receiving her specialization degree, she began her research and assisting others in the medical field. From 1936 to 1938, she was an assistant at the neurological clinic at the Turin School of Medicine. And after this, she did a year as a researcher at the Neurological Institute in Brussels, Belgium. From years 1940 to 1943, she had to work from a laboratory in her room due to the anti-Semitism happening during this time in Italy, as there were laws that prevented her from working. Then, towards the end of the war, she provided medical services for the American Army in a camp for Italian refugees when the German Army occupied northern Italy. In 1945, she was able to return back to the University of Turin, where she became a researcher. And then in 1947, she went to the United States to research with Victor Hamburger at Washington University, where they ended up making the discovery of nerve cell growth, which is what she's most famous for. By 1958, Rita became a full professor in the biology department at Washington. From 1978, she became the director of the Institute of Cell Biology of the Italian National Council of Research in Rome, while still teaching at Washington, and here she continued to be a full-time researcher until she retired. The biggest problem Rita faced during her career was the amount of anti-Semitism that was going on. During this time, she was very much discriminated against for her religion. During the year 1940, she was forced to build a small research unit in her bedroom because Italy had put in place laws that prevented Jews from working in certain areas, such as institutions. Then she had to relocate her home and lab after the heavy bombing of Turin to a country cottage on the outskirts of her hometown in Italy. In the fall of 1943, she was forced to abandon her home once again and flew to Florence, where her and her family lived underground until the war was pretty much over. At this point in time, she was forced to stop all of her research until the war was over and she was in a safe environment again. In this interview, she talks about the struggles she faced during this period of time.
Because of the war and the rise of fascism, you were prevented as a Jew from working in universities or practicing medicine.
Exactly.
So you had to set up a laboratory on your own at home.
Exactly. Well, I tried first to go out. I went to Brussels to work, but then it was very close to the beginning of the war, and I did not want to be away or distant from my family. So I came back to Turin, not to Rome, and made a very small laboratory in my bedroom, a very, very small room. Giuseppe Levi had migrated to Brussels, came back and became my assistant. First I was, of course, the assistant, then worked together, and then I made the first discovery of the programmed cell death before the discovery. So everything was enthusiastic approach to the study of the nervous system in Cicembio. And this was an excellent choice because it's very easy to work. I mean, even in a small room. So it was a very excellent selection of fields.
Do you think that working in isolation was actually beneficial? Do you think it allowed you to see things?
I believe so, because difficulty gave a possibility to use it to the best what you have capacity. I mean, I had no problem. I was not afraid of persecution. It was no persecution like in Germany, but it was unpleasant environment, you know. Even if fascist, many of my schoolmates or those came to see me. I mean, it was not a really division with the other.
Rita had many accomplishments and findings during her career. She's most known for her discovery of nerve cell growth. She found that the protein that controls the growth of cells in the nervous system and showed that it is necessary for normal nerve growth and maintenance. In 1986, she won the Nobel Peace Prize of Physiology or Medicine for this particular discovery. In 1987, she was awarded the National Medal of Science. During this time, she also published an autobiography work called In Praise of Imperfection. And in 1995, Sierra Leone honored her as a Nobel laureate on a stamp. And in 2001, the Italian Prime Minister appointed Rita senator for her outstanding contributions to science. Rita's impact is huge as she kickstarted the research and findings of all factors that influence the growth of nerve cells and the cells themselves. Without her, many scientists would not have been able to discover what they did when it comes to biology and physiology.